What's going on, creators? You just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to talk a little bit about terrain theory and how it competes on a lot of different levels with germ theory. Not to say that one is necessarily better than the other, but there's some glaring things that are going on with COVID and like the idea of viruses, and how much of that is actually real versus how much is that just like an assumption that is just based on nothing. And so like when it comes to like terrain theory, it's a really interesting rabbit hole, and I've been really kind of going balls deep in it for, I don't know, the past couple weeks and days. I don't know, everything's becoming such a blur. It's like the older I get, the more it just feels like Groundhog Day, really, except for, just like the new things I'm doing, moving shit around, doing different things with my business, trading, Forex, these new things, but ultimately, 1 year ago, 3 years ago, it's all starting to feel like just one big day. But like when it comes to like terrain theory, it really talks more about your body being an environment, and your job is to, create the best environment possible for thriving. And so it's something I already kind of resonate with, and it's really saying a lot of things I already have through my own life experience found to be true. For example, I think a lot of people are chronically dehydrated, which it's like talking during Christmas about that to some family members, has like, as someone who like basically only drinks coffee and water, every once in a while I'll drink like juices and shit, but the majority, if you look at a pie chart of my drinking, is mostly just water and coffee, which coffee is pretty much just water anyway with some bean juice. But like, the thing of like drinking water, it's been a progression to get there, and there was like a time where I couldn't fucking stand the taste of water because it was just so just boring or whatever. But through like alcoholism and just mixing these like drinks like super strong, it's like I couldn't stand drinking soda or pop or whatever the fuck you say it. It's just like these soft drinks just tasted disgusting to me. And then plus I never felt like hydrated or quenched from drinking like soda or pop or whatever soft drink or whatever. And just went on this thing of when I was like super poor, the only thing I would like, there would be like no thought in my mind if I was going to spend like, have like, I don't know, $5 for food. The drink was like so foreign to me. It's like, I'm not going to spend any money on the fucking drink. I got a water, I got a faucet at the house, and like, I had an ice, so it's just like, that's how I went on that water path or whatever. Which fast forward like 10 years, 12 years, now it's just like I'm obsessed with it. It's like the only thing in creation on some level that it's like there's not a stigma if you indulge in it. And as like kind of having like a degenerate side to me, like wants to like just constantly just do and do and do. That's like appealing to me on a lot of different levels, where it's like you can just drink unlimited amounts for the most within reason. Obviously, you sit there and just fucking just, every minute of the day, just hook me up to an IV and just fill me full of fluids all the day. It's like, it's not that like big of a deal, but it is like one of the few things that when you look in nature, how soluble it just cleans up virtually everything, if you just keep applying water. And when it comes to like terrain theory or whatever, the idea is that you are not really doing anything to aid in like your body's like immune response, but what you can do is create an environment that helps the natural immunity just in the healing process or whatever, just naturally do its thing, so it's like if your body's like flushing shit out of it, the best thing you do is continue just to add more water, so that you can continue to hydrate yourself and whatnot. And there's so many benefits, and a lot of like terrain theory is just common sense things that actually work. And that's the problem with a lot of the science, is it is based on invisible science. It's like, I just gotta trust your theory or your autistic math formula that even under a non-expert scrutiny of just using logic and common sense, it's like you're fundamentally flawed in a lot of your assumptions. A lot of your theory land bullshit is just grasping at, well, it's got to be there for the math to work. just like a lot of the space shit where it's just like, well, there's got to be this is contrary force for our math formula to balance. It's like, or maybe you're just fucking wrong. It's like if you can't see it and you have to infer all of these different ideas based on an invisible thing, like a virus, for example, is supposedly never been isolated. So it's like so it's like the idea that exists and that is a causative factor in like contagion. Really sketchy, especially when you listen to like experts in like medical field that see this shit every single day. It's like, I not to say I don't trust doctors or whatever, but there's like a branch of medicine that just is pseudoscience to me, that just like, well, you just pop this magic formula and you're healed. It's like, I don't think that's how you heal anything. And that's just my own opinion as just a human being on planet Earth that deals with their own health. I don't go popping pills for like my nose being runny or whatever. I used to work by this guy. I used to sell receipt paper. This is before I started my music business. It was like one of the last like jobs, like if I don't have this job, I'm fucked type periods of my life or whatever. And it was so much like The Office. It was like that show. Ridiculous amounts of passive aggressiveness, just really bitchy feminine energy, not to talk shit or whatever, but it's just I wish everybody that worked there well, but there was a guy that I worked next to, and he was just like a petri dish of just he's taking a Benadryl, taking a Aleve, taking a Tylenol, taking just. It's like, dude, what do you have, like AIDS or something? What the fuck is wrong with you? And like at the same time, like I would start getting fucking sick being around this guy. I don't know if it had to do with his aura, his fucking energy field was just tainted with just fucking spells of, contagions. I think all of that shit has to do with thought forms and nocebo suggestions. And that's kind of my base assumption on a lot of different things. It's like, how your inner world is being affected by seeing somebody that maybe is something fucking wrong with them. It's like, what's the story you're telling yourself about the situation? It's like, oh, you start becoming scared and afraid it's going to happen to you. That's an issue because the nocebo effect is already a documented thing. The placebo nocebo connection with the mind and how that affects your body is documented. It's like you can pretend like that doesn't do anything, but that's to your own detriment by just not ignoring like reality on some level. Something that just repeatedly happens over and over again, that's unexplained and unexplored and not really well fucking contradicted by materialism or germ theory, all these different kinds of things. But it's just somebody who's taken their health in their own hands, basically. I got a family. I got to take care of their health needs if something's going on. I want to believe on some level there's people in the health field that have a grip on this thing. But, it's like I feel like that with finance. But, the more I get into trading, a lot of it feels like gambling and fucking uncertainty and just illusions. Whereas like my handyman business is like, it's very easy to be like, oh, well, here you do this, here you do this, and here you do this. Problem solved. Make money. Very simple. Like music is more of an art. Maybe like that kind of like paradigm is more appropriate of like, oh, that's more of an art form in the sense that you develop a intuition, you develop a skill set to be able to deal with these things. I don't know. You would think it'd be more of a, oh, there's a hole in the wall. First you cut out this area, then you drill some things in, then you put some joint compound and you sand it and paint it and it's done. It's like that's very matter of fact. I would like to think a lot of medicine's like that. I feel like my orthopedic surgeon is like that, where it's like, well, first we'll just cut into your skin, then we'll cut the bone out, we'll put a new thing in, boom, 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 and there you go. I can understand that and trust that. Whereas, oh, first you take this magic potion, then you walk around a tree and spin around 8 times, and then you sit and relax and you do this, and then so what? What are you talking about? But in my tangent, let's bring it back full circle to terrain theory. That's all just about kind of this whole mind body thing anyway, and it's like I see that working, and that's like kind of my yardstick anymore is like, oh, do I trust invisible science that doesn't display any tangible results or benefit or usefulness or that it works, or do I use what's observable, obvious? Oh, when you sleep, when you're hydrated, when you're outside, that has a positive benefit to you. It's retarded to start to ignore that kind of stuff. Especially with like so many people, seeing how this pendulum swinging with this, the vaccine bullshit, and how all of a sudden the pendulum of, first it's fear of an existential threat, which gets you to take a no liability thing, which now if you have any new symptoms or some fucking crazy thing going on, that's ignored. Oh, it couldn't possibly be that. But at the same time, there's an inner struggle too, where people are starting to lose faith in their decision. And when you start to lose faith, then what normally is replaced is fear, which that nocebo suggestion can start to have a psychosomatic effect on your body. And that's documented. That's just, oh, water's wet, the sky is blue. It's like, this is how things work, in my opinion. At least you can vehemently disagree, and most people will, because we get so indoctrinated from the time we're children to, oh, you don't feel good, take this, you'll feel better. So ingrained, and the idea that there's an existential threat, that your body, a lot of germ theory bases a lot of assumptions on this idea of an us versus them. Again, that same kind of mind virus paradigm of separation. And if you've been down a spiritual journey for a while, you'll be led to see how things are ultimately connected in consciousness and in God and spirit, whatever word you want to say. I mean, there's this interconnection between the inner consciousness, your inner conversation, what you're speaking to the subconscious mind every moment of the present, and what then starts to manifest in your life. And you can start to see how that starts to play a role when you start to actively make new changes. When you start breaking addictions, which, start in mind, but then have a physical correspondence. But everything is like that. Everything has a spiritual beginning and then a physical correspondence. Wealth, abundance, prosperity, all those kinds of things. It starts in mind. And, it's like somebody's like has a handyman business. It's like, and just been an entrepreneur for over a decade. You start to see how when you put your faith and trust in, God provides the customers an opportunity, and money ultimately, money is a reflection of value you give to others, all these kinds of things. When you start to replace maybe the negative stories of like, oh, money's the root of all evil, and if I have money that means I'm evil, or the people with money, they must have sold their soul to Satan to get money, and all these separation ideas. When you start to realize so much of our suffering is based on these ideas of separation, it doesn't take a large jump to see how these ideas of, oh, an autoimmune system, my body's against me, oh, there's a invisible army of things that want to kill me every single day. A lot of those fallacies of an us versus them that ultimately create fear, which does then create symptoms of disease. And I'm not saying that there isn't this shit. It's like there's people that get sick and die. But, the question is why? What is going on that is happening? Bacterial things, fungal things. That's a totally different thing in germ theory. I'm not saying, like, Pasteur was completely fucking a fraud or whatever, which, there is a lot of, like, the science when it comes to Pasteur, and it's, like, that same kind of paradigm that you see, like, during COVID, where you have, like, these mainstream ideas get inflated, but so many times they're just fucking wrong or inverted or opposite or whatever. And so it's like when I see that same pattern repeating throughout, the whole Pasteur thing, you see it with Tesla too, with how he kind of doesn't get enough credit for all the really ingenious things that he's was able to come up with in his life. You see that same thing playing over, and that kind of biases my my take, I guess, where it comes to like Pasteur and like germ theory. But there was pasteurization. There is like a bacterial thing that you can see in a telescope, not telescope, microscope, but like and antibiotics and all that kind of stuff has been a gigantic benefit for humans and life. So not to just like throw everything out with the bathwater, but like the idea starts to creep into theory land bullshit when you can't observe it anymore. Like a virus, it's like you can't observe it. And there's a lot of evidence that that the isolation tests and everything that they're doing are full of shit, and it's not surprising, especially when you see the track record of that repeats very, very obviously all throughout human history in a lot of different ways. Just recent history with COVID and just the insanity. But like, when it comes to like what a lot of people are suffering with, is now they injected themselves with who knows what. And now they're starting to become more dramas. They're starting to become more things going on in the world that are becoming, for an outsider's perspective, it looks like think of it like farming. It's like if you introduce some new thing to enhance your chickens, for example, and you started adding it to their water to get it into their bodies, and next thing you know, as soon as you started doing that, now they're having some weird fucking illnesses pop up. Some of them are dying. You wouldn't start pointing your finger at a microscopic existential threat that you can't even see. Your first assumption would probably be, the shit I added to the water, I think is having an adverse effect on this flock of birds. It's like the same kind of effect of like, I think I might have poisoned them with this. You wouldn't, your knee-jerk reaction would not be, oh, they contracted an avian flu. Maybe some people would react that way if they're retarded, but it's like if you like had some sort of common sense where you're just like, oh, well, I put something in the water 2 weeks ago, and now it's like I got some that are dead, some are fucked up, some of them are not acting right, their temperament's off, or something's going on with them. Your first reaction then, if like terrain theory was kind of your guide to how your body handles things, how just nature handles things, is like, okay, I need to stop adding this to the water like now, and then coming up with a game plan to then reverse that effect. So there, in my opinion, is like poisonings that you can have that will negatively affect your body, but your body is very strong and resilient, and a lot of times, it's like if you stop introducing a toxin to yourself and then start to create an environment where you're sleeping good, drinking lots of water, exercising, getting sunlight and vitamin D, and just anything that you're kind of like obviously is affecting your body. It's like maybe you're drinking too much, maybe you're smoking too much, maybe you're doing something too much. It's like you can start to intuitively get these things like in your attention of like, I should probably stop doing that. That's probably playing a role in why I'm having this symptom. If you were having a terrarium, where it's like a little ecosystem environment, and you never watered it, and things started to die, there's things that you can do to aid the terrain, the environment. And then there's things that are out of your control, where that's something that just your immune system is doing. But a lot of times, when you start to see the oneness and start to see how things are connected in consciousness, you can see how your body is a micro fractal of the whole anyway, where it's just like all of these seemingly separate cells cohesively making the one, just like the body of Christ. Where it's just like each individual human is a cell in the body, the bigger body of the one, ultimate, consciousness. It's all playing out fractally in a lot of different ways. And if you look at your body as like a temple, as an environment, well, then what can you do? Just those core things are super helpful. And like terrain theory would be like, where it's like, I'm just getting out of this whole ideas. Every one of these mainstream scientific ideas that is not based in any type of observable reality where it's like, oh, you just got to trust the experts that our autistic math formula works, and that's why this, even though there's no demonstrable result, it's like you live long enough, it's like, oh, don't you know, Mike, eggs are bad for you? Didn't you know egg yolks are excellent for you? That's the best thing you could ever taste in your body. Oh, didn't you know, Mike, the egg yolks actually have bad cholesterol, and that's the poison? And it's like, shut the fuck up. It's like you start to just see these contradictions going back and forth. It's like, your guess is as good as anybody's, really. Because it seems pretty obvious that, a lot of these quote-unquote experts are just paid for by businessmen, it's like trying to sell you something. So it's like, oh, well, we ran this study and it's awesome. It's an awesome product. We're backed by science that we paid $3,000 and they gave us this report. It is what it is. But, try to share some of these terrain theory ideas. It's something I'm doing, you can feel free to vaccinate and poison yourself, and I don't even know if that is even the right thing, because if you believe that it works, it probably does, because again, I think so much of like taking a potion, unless it's based on like a bacteria where you can see it and test it, and like, oh, when it's introduced to this temperature, heat, whatever, it's like some like obvious thing that kills it. That's one thing. It's another thing. It's like, oh, well, this microscopic world exists because we say so. It's like, can you see it? Can we? No, it's inferred, Mike. It's like, okay, then that's not something I care about anymore. Oh, Mike, didn't you know that you're not a virologist, and so you're a retard? And it's like, you can't have an opinion on anything. It's like, okay, well, with that same logic. Well, you shouldn't have an opinion on music because you haven't been a music producer for over a decade. So how dare you tell me, I should tell you what's good and what you like and everything. It's like, you hear how retarded that sounds when you just, it's people putting people on pedestals is the biggest problem. It's like, oh, he's got a certificate, so I'm just going to acquiesce to everything and just treat him like a god and just obey without even thinking about it. Some people though, some people are just like that. I don't know why. I'm not like that at all. It's just like the idea of just like following the herd, especially when there's no demonstrable reason that it's a benefit, is like crazy to me. And it's crazy on a lot of different levels, really, especially after COVID, and just seeing, it's like you're following a clown. That's not, as if you're a man, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like you should be leading. You should be leading your family. You should be leading your own self first. You should be demonstrating different things to yourself. You shouldn't be a bitch to all these different addictions and habits and just whatever's. It's like, oh, Mike, how dare you? I feel attacked and judged. It's like, not attacking you or judging you, but there is a time where we go, oh, well, this person is objectively retarded, this person's not retarded, and you can tell because this person keeps banging their head into a wall and just failing at everything, and this person's like successfully just like demonstrating results that are a benefit. That's my yardstick anymore. Is just like, what are you demonstrating? Are you demonstrating chronic failure and just like failure basically? Or are you successfully doing something? It's that simple, So it's like, when it comes to people that are in the health field, I want to believe that there's people that are experts that know actually how to heal people and cure things. I don't see a lot of that in reality, though. That's the biggest problem. I see people that are chronically sick, chronically just taking pill after pill after pill, but never getting better. It's just like, oh, well, you just maintain that level of decay. What? That's insane. So there's obviously some big holes, and you get people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, doctors all over the place that are like having actual tangible results of like using the mind on some level. But also if you start looking at alternative theories like terrain theory, which as I've started to get into that, it's like I feel a lot more secure in like my body doing things. It's just like, oh, it's like maybe in the past you'd have like an achy thing or some fucked up whatever's going on, and like the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, my body's against me, so I must be dying. It's like getting out of that idea like your body's an adversary. I've gotten that with spiritual people too. It drives me crazy on some level where people are like, are you just going to take this body off like it's a dirty piece of shit? It's just like, what? It's like your body's a temple. You should be thinking of it not as a dirty piece of shit rag that you're just going to, someday I'm going to just take this fucking abortion off of me. It's like, what? I think even religious people, especially, because I don't buy the hype. I don't believe it. 90% of people, when they are like, oh, I can't wait to fucking die and go to heaven, it's like, I don't believe you at all. It's just like when you spend the present moment acting like a bitch about sickness and whatever. It's like, I don't think you're tough. I don't think that you're like, oh yeah, just strap me to a chair and light me on fire. I'm ready to go. I don't believe it. I don't believe those people. And the more, I don't know, the more I like even just read the Bible, I don't even think that's a biblical reality. I don't think that, sickness and death, comes from, error, and so it's like, when we have Jesus constantly healing sickness and death, and Jesus is supposed to be like the example of what God is like, God is constantly healing, constantly bringing people, giving you life because God is life. Well, and that's a whole separate thing. But, it's like, I think a big shift in mindset is coming off that kind of mental cross where you crucify yourself and bring a lot of those things unconsciously to you, death, sickness, the things that you fear. And you really understanding the importance of your mental conversation in the face of a symptom, in the face of something fucked up going on, I think is a big deal, and I think it's a bigger deal, to, get to the bottom of these things. It's like there's no reason that there's so much sickness. I think a lot of it has to do with nocebo suggestions, but that's just where I'm coming from. There's obviously people that get herpes and shit. It's like you've seen it on people's mouths, and it's like you see that there is this shit. So it's not to deny reality, but it's like, what is actually the root issue here? Is it something that you can't even see attacking you, or is it maybe a fear manifesting in the form of XYZ? It's like, who knows, but the one I'm going to believe is the one that is able to actually do something about it, instead of just having the same rate of success as like a placebo. If you have the same rate of success as a placebo, then the only thing going on that shows me is that the mind healed that person and their faith, which is kind of how I navigate reality anyway, is assuming that everything that is being done to people is a direct reflection of their faith. And so with that in mind, I think I'm going to balance. It's like it's almost creeping into I'm trading. It's like I'm getting ready to go back to the doctor to get cleared. Basically, he's going to take an x-ray of my hip. If you're new, I just got my right hip replaced 6 weeks ago, and then my left hip was replaced a year ago. So it's like I got two new hips, and the thing with that is like I go back tomorrow, see how that's going. I'd like to hopefully get cleared to go to the pool and start swimming again. I think there's something very therapeutic and healing about the water. Went to the Y yesterday, which is a gym. If you're not familiar with the YMCA, it's a public, or not public, it's private gym, but it's like on the treadmill, because I can't hit the pool yet. I think going to the gym is very, very healing. Not just because the equipment's there, but just the consciousness of the place. I think you have so many people trying to heal, recover, build, strengthen. And I think you can't go to an environment like that without that energy attaching to you on some level. And like, so I think it's a gigantic benefit. Yeah, you can do all these exercises. I could just walk around town if I wanted to, which I have. I've done that. I could just do push-ups and sit-ups and calisthenics in my house. But there's something about going to the gym that just feels more healing, and you can get to network with different people. I don't think it's healthy or healing to just constantly just be alone and isolated and just doing things in by yourself basically. And so, I look forward to doing that today. I'm going to do that after I get off of here. And I've also been trading the pound dollar forex. I've been shorting it, but it's been bullish because the dollar's been bearish, and so I keep thinking it's going to turn around. Hopefully it does. It's like I'm really dialing in my strategy, which I was up 1% by following the strategy, and then I got these issues, these bad habits of just like oversizing and over trading, not following my strategy, and so down like 2% for the day. Hopefully, I hit that big New York City money shot before lunch, and at least break even. Hopefully, break even for the day. I'd like to get more into like a lifestyle of trading, but at the same time, I don't know long term how profitable that even is. I have a house that as soon as I get cleared, I can start really focusing attention on flipping it. And so I might focus more attention on like real estate than day trading. I don't know. It just kind of depends. It feels less gambly to flip a house. It just feels. But the problem with like real estate is just more cash. You just need more cash to do it. It's like at least probably like this house. Probably like 30 or 40 grand in just materials. That's not even including paying myself or anything. But I might be able to sell it for like 80. And so we'll see how that kind of financing works. I think I'm more like work out some sort of a financing deal, just guaranteeing somebody like maybe 7% or something like that. I'm still trying to figure out the best way. I might go to the bank. I don't know. I don't know the best situation, what the bank would offer, what their interest rate is, and it'll just be a short-term thing, maybe like 90 days or something like that. But still, I almost wanted to like then take that. And then put any surplus of that money into like QQQ or SPY. Just I don't know, something stable that has like a little bit of an interest rate to maybe just to maybe get some of the loan paid off that way. I don't know. We'll see. I'm kind of rambling. But like keep saying I'm going to put out some guitar music, and I keep been like dropping the ball on that. But like I think I finally found a song that would work. And so probably be on the lookout for that. Maybe today. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how the day goes. But I think that is it. I just wanted to bring that to you guys' attention. Terrain theory. It's an interesting rabbit hole. I didn't probably do it justice, but there's a lot of videos on Rumble that go into terrain theory. Probably not so much on YouTube because of the censorship and how sellouty YouTube has become to special interests and shit. But everybody has an opportunity to pivot and change directions if it's not working, which it doesn't appear that model is working at all. But like there's definitely a lot of interesting content on Rumble when it comes to terrain theory. Maybe find a little bit on YouTube. Bitchute, I haven't really looked that much on Bitchute. Bitchute has been a lot more fearful, it has, I have, not to talk shit about Bitchute because you might be watching this video on Bitchute, but like a lot of like the videos on there is like really fearful and like, oh, you see what the they's doing to me, and victim mindy. I don't like victim mindset shit because like I've already been through way too many years of victim mindset rabbit hole people, and I'm just over that shit. And anyway, and so hopefully that gets your feet wet into at least the ideas of terrain theory. Basically, it's just your body is an environment that you can help by just doing the natural things to encourage your natural immunity, your natural healing, staying hydrated, for example, sleeping, exercising, the things that most people know work. It's like the idea is like, oh, you're just going to be morbidly obese, but then never work out and never diet and never run a calorie deficit. It's like that's how you do it. It's like, think of like your body weight is like almost like money. It's like you can have a surplus of it if you're not spending the energy wisely. If you're just hoarding the energy, you create this big surplus, but you start to work that down by getting in a deficit. Oh my god, you're not an expert. It's like, I've lost like 50, 60 pounds. It's like, that's how you do it. It's like not the easiest way, because it means that you have to run a deficit, but like, it is what it is. That's how you do it. And with that being said, I appreciate everybody liking, sharing, subscribing, all the social networking things. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your attention for this long. And until the next stream, God bless.